This is the last video we're going to be doing on arrays. So in this video, we're going to talk in particular about passing arrays to functions. Okay. So I have on the screen here just the simple, straightforward, we've seen it before, just a function that declares an array. Got to get my cursor back. There we go. So we're declaring our constant int for size. One thing I'm noticing, some of you are not capitalizing your constants. Remember, by tradition, and what I want you to do is make sure that you put your constants in all capital letters. That way others viewing your code will have an idea that's a constant, okay? Then we're initializing the array and adding the elements in as we go. And then we're just going to go through and print this out. So if you do this much, you're going to find that printing this array out every time is kind of a pain. Okay, it's repetitive. It's exactly what we don't want to do in our programs. So it would be nice to use a function for this. Okay, but functions are a little weird here. So let's start. If we're going to take this code, I'm going to create a function. Okay, I'm going to make it a void function. I'm going to call it print array. Okay. First, we need to think about what we need to take. Okay, as far as the parameters. The first, we have an array of integers we've declared down here. So we're going to go ahead and declare this an array here. Okay. I'm going to call it ARR instead of AR. You can call it the same, doesn't matter. Okay. Um, and to let the compiler know that it's an array, we're going to go ahead and put the curly or the square brackets there. Okay. But there's no way for the compiler to know how big it's going to be. Okay. If we were to put a number in here, then it's reinitializing the array, and that's not what we're doing, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to send along the size. And this is not the same variable as the constant size with all capital letters, but I'm going to pass that along. Okay. So that's going to be my function prototype there. And I'm going to copy that, then move to the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and create this function. Okay. So now that we have this information, we should be able to, for the most part, go up here, copy the print I'd done before, paste it in there. Again, the tab key will line things up if they get out of line. Wrong place for that. Going to end that. That should move over. Okay. But we have some differences here. For one thing, instead of size, we're doing size. Instead of AR, we're doing ARR. Everything else should be okay. Okay. And this is fine. This should work. Now to print it, we're going to say up here, print array, send it AR, and send it size. Okay. Try this out. See if that works. Looks good. There we go. Prints out our array. Okay. No problem there. Okay. So the difficulty it comes in, or it's not a difficulty, just the change for us comes in that if we think about what AR is, okay, so if we're just going to see out AR, okay, that will happen after the print array. So let's go ahead and put in a new line character there. It's an R, it's on one, an N there. I could have also done an indel just so it'll separate it off a little bit. Okay. Now, if I run this, we'll see that what prints out for AR is this random memory address. Okay. So when we think about when we were doing the pass by value versus pass by reference, what we ended up passing along to the function to be a pass by reference, so we have a way to update it, okay, would be the following. So if we have int x equal 5, I could send, so let me see out just to see what x ampersand is. Okay. Run this. What did I do wrong? Don't know. Not sure what I did wrong. Oh, it's the other way around? Is that it? Maybe? Okay, there we go. Okay, that's a memory address as well. Okay. So we're not sending a value then when we pass an array. We're sending it by reference, by default. Okay. And there's no other way. So we have to remember that ARR is being passed by reference. Okay. So what does this mean for us practically? Well, it means that if we want to have a function that modifies the array, we don't have to do anything. Okay, so if I wanted to have a function, we could call it double array, which again takes the int, call it whatever you want, call the size whatever you want, keep it the same. So I can copy my loop here. Okay, so I can just, that part's all I need. Come down here. Okay, but inside of here, I'm going to let ARRI be equal to ARRI times 2. Okay, that's all that's going to do. And now to show that, and again, I have to make sure I put in, sorry, I've got my clicky keyboard. I'm in my office for this video. So it does create a distraction, but it's the best thing ever. Okay. So now, if I've got it all typed in correctly, I should be able to print the array. Okay. And then I can send to double array the same thing, send AR and size. And then I want to print array again. Okay, to show that it's made the change. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead in my print function, just to give us a little bit of space. Go ahead and put 2 of those there. It'll look a little better. Okay. Compile it. No typos, which is good. Okay. So now you see that the original array is 1, 2, 3, and now I've doubled the array to 2, 4, 6. Okay. That's good. But there's a problem. There may be times when we don't want to allow this to happen. Okay. We may not want it to be where it could be changed. So for example, if you think about it logically, our print function, its goal is to print out the array. It shouldn't change the array. That would be a very odd thing for it to happen. Okay. So we now have to make a decision. If we don't want it to change, we have to put this as a constant. Okay. So now, if randomly here, when I'm done, I decide to say ARR 0 is equal to 999. Okay. Now when I run this, okay, it's going to give me an error right away on a compile error. It's a syntax error. It's going to say assignment of a read-only location. Okay. And again, the star here refers that this is a memory address. Okay. So by putting in the constant, we keep this from happening. Okay. So now when you're sending an array to a function, there's nothing special. We don't have to do anything special to send it by reference. But you have to decide, should this array or should this function change the elements of the array? If the answer is no, you have to make sure to declare it as a constant. Okay. So that's the last big part of the textbook. The very last part talks about some common operations on arrays that we can go through here just briefly. Okay. And one of the things we often do, we'll find the largest element or the smallest element in an array. Okay. So when we do that, it's what I like to call the king of the hill algorithm. And basically, you're going to set the largest to be the first value at the 0 position, and then just test it against all the others with a loop. Pretty straightforward. That would work in 2 dimensions as well. You would have 2 loops for that. Okay. It's also pretty common to calculate the sum of an array or to calculate the average. So let's do the average as a function real quick here. It should be pretty easy to do. Okay. So this is going to be an int average array, which will again take my Okay, this is not going to change anything. So it needs to be a constant int array and an int size. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, well, let's go ahead and say that we have a sum first. Okay, so I'm going to have an int sum array, constant int ARR, int size. Okay, so I'm only going to have to do this once now. So inside of here, I'm going to have my loop. I have my for int I equals 0. I is less than the size that we pass in, I plus plus. Okay. First have to set an int for the sum. And since I'm going to be adding to it and assume that it's 0, I'm going to go ahead and set it to 0. It should be, but better safe than sorry. Okay. Then I'm just going to have to say sum plus equals. Remember, that's the same as saying sum is equal to sum plus the value of the array at position I. Okay. That should calculate the sum. When I'm done, I can return that sum. Okay. So that should be good. I don't think sum is a reserved word. Just in case, let's not take a chance. Let's just call it S. It would give us an error, but that should solve that. S for the sum. Okay. So now the reason I stopped to do that, and I haven't put in my prototypes yet, which I have to do. Now that I have this, all I have to do, okay, is return the sum array of the array that we have and the size divided by the size. Okay. That should quick and easy take care of that. Okay. So that will get whatever so for 1, 2, 3, it's going to return to 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and that is the average. Okay. So now let me go ahead and put in my function prototypes. The average array, I'll do the sum array. And again, the prototype, I don't need these variables, but I can. It's not a problem. Okay. Space there because it looks funny. Oh, wrong spot. Okay. And now we should be good, right? This should work for us, right? Except, so here's something I almost did. Let me run it, let me compile it. It doesn't like something. Okay, let's see what it doesn't like. I think the issue here, I put in brackets and didn't need to. That's the issue there. Let's see what it doesn't like now. Okay, and find reference to print array. Huh. Well, what have I done to print array? Print array there. A really strange error to get. Wonder if I'm calling it with a different spelling. No? Huh. Well, that's not the main point, but let me see if I can fix that real quick. Okay, so what line is it giving me that error on? It doesn't tell me what line it's giving an error on. So again, we go ahead and this is a diversion, but it's probably worthwhile. When I go to compile it, I'm going to put that -G in, say array fun CPP. Okay. Oh, it doesn't even let me to do that. Okay. Oh, it does give the line number. It's line 16. So at line 16, what have I changed to make that no longer work? So right here. Okay, it's no longer happy with the print array with the AR and the size. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is doing. Very strange. So let me go ahead and, if I didn't do that, I'm guessing it's going to cause an error on the double array. No, so doesn't like print array. Well, that's the other time it doesn't. Maybe it's just print array that has an issue. We can figure out if that's our trouble, and if in which case it may be easier to fix. That seems okay. Okay, so I've clearly done something to it somewhere. Oh, I know exactly what the problem is. It would have been a problem before too. It's because, let's look at the error message. This may be helpful here. Okay. Yes, I just didn't see it. So what it's telling me here is it's trying to get to a function called print array with an int star int. Okay. In particular, what the issue is, if we look at our code, is that down here we have this as a constant. We made that change. Up here we do not. Okay. So we need to do the constant up here. That should be the problem. So let me now fix that. Could be the issue. Yeah, now we're fine. Okay. So anyway, back to my original point. When I do this, it doesn't do anything at all with the sum or the average. And often students are like, well, why didn't it do that? Well, we didn't tell it to, right? We're just doing all this stuff. So we basically don't care anymore about this stuff. Okay. What we care about is printing out the sum and the average. Okay. So to do that, remember the functions are going to return something. So let me print out here that the sum of the array is, I'm going to call the sum array function. I'm going to send it the array, which is called AR here, and the size. Okay. And then in a similar way, I can do that the average of the array is, and send it to the average sum or average array. Okay. And if that's all working right, we'll see. Looks okay. And there we go. And you can do this by hand to figure out that the sum of the array is 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is 6. And then the average of the array is going to be 6 divided by 2, or 6 divided by 3, that's the size, which equals 2. Okay. So this is how we can figure that one out. Okay. And then another common thing that we'll do that I won't worry about showing it, so the video won't be super long, okay, is that we can do a search for the element. We go through and figure out, I think one of our exercises, one of our homework exercises had us do that, okay? So that's the basics here. So just to recap this, that when we send an array to a function, we're passing by reference. That's our only option, okay? We can't pass by value. We can pass individual values. Okay, so if I had a function, let's say, I mentioned this real quick, int function f1, okay, that takes an int, x, whatever, okay. If I had that function, then I could send from up here an element. I could say like cout f1 of AR0. That correct there? Okay, AR, that's wrong. Okay, because AR at the 0 index is an int, and that's fine. Okay, and that would pass by value, not by reference. But when we send the whole array, which is what we normally do, it's going to pass by reference. Okay, which is fine. We can make changes, but if we don't, we need to add this constant keyword in front of just the array. Okay. This is probably not a bad idea also to make it a constant, because I mean it's not going to matter. It's not going to have any long-term effects, but in case we wanted to change it, that would be something we're going to do there. So again, we're sending the size here, which is a constant. We can't change the size with all capital letters, but this function could change the size at the small letter size if you wanted. Okay, if I did that in the print, I would have to come back up to here and make this a constant as well. Okay, or we would get the error that I just had. Okay. So we can now start using functions in our programs with arrays, and that just makes a lot of sense to be doing that. Okay. So that's it with arrays. We've covered arrays. So the next thing we're going to be covering is going to be strings. So arrays are our first real data structure that we've talked about. Again, a data structure is a way to organize the data that we have to make it easier to access. So a string can also be used as a data structure. So that will be in the next video.